Hello, and welcome to Soul Play, where we explore the art of living with curiosity, connection, and creativity. I'm your host, Sarah Benoit, and I'm so incredibly grateful you're here. Throughout my journey, I've crossed paths with remarkable individuals, guests who join us here to share their wisdom, stories, and practical insights. These inspiring voices are shaping a better world, offering perspectives and tools that my younger self would have loved to discover. Soul Play is more than just a podcast. It's an invitation for all of us to show up authentically, reclaim our power, and reconnect with the essence of who we truly are. Today's guest is Tamara Klemich. Tamara is a somatic and sexuality educator and Co-Steward of the Jade Temple, a women's center and community devoted to feminine embodiment and sexual healing. A corporate escapee, she burned out after overworking for 15 years in advertising agencies, and then rebuilt her health, well-being, and wholeness through the paths of Tantra, feminine embodiment, somatics, and sacred sexuality, which is why she is so fired up about sharing it with other women. Tamara and the Jade Temple support women to create a deeply authentic and loving relationship with themselves, their bodies, and their sexualities so that they can connect to their true, embodied power instead of seeking it externally. In this rich and vulnerable conversation, we explore the essence of the Jade Temple, the healing nature of sisterhood, and why self-touch and nervous system regulation are foundational to reclaiming our sexuality and coming home to ourselves. Tamara offers accessible tools, guidance for beginners, and insight into how we can raise girls with body trust and emotional wisdom. If you're curious about feminine embodiment, healing through sisterhood, or creating safety in your body as a path to power and pleasure, this episode's for you. Without further ado, I welcome Tamara Klemich. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Thanks, love. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so grateful to be sitting across from you to explore everything you've been up to. You're such an inspiring person. I met you first at the Jade Temple here in Koh Phangan, which I know we'll get into at length. So to begin, if you don't mind introducing yourself and let us know why you're here.
Awesome. Thanks, love. So, yeah, my name is Tamara. Who am I? I guess I would say, first and foremost, I'm like a somatics and sexuality educator. Like, I'm very, very passionate about teaching about somatics and understanding our body and the nervous system, and also, embracing and rewriting how we feel about our sexuality as humans. And a big part of my mission and my work is offering that at the Jade Temple, which is a community of women here on the island in Koh Phangan, but also we're starting to spread our wings outside of this little island and launch a whole bunch of online stuff to grow this community to a global community. We're women that come together in devotion to the wisdom and pleasure of these female bodies that we live in. So it's really, really beautiful work that we're doing there. I am a musician. Music is a huge part of my life. It's really, for me, like creative expression and tapping into that energy of just being in creativity is a super important part of my life. I'm a nature lover. I love being in nature. And I would say I'm just like a lover of life. I feel very, very fortunate every day of my life to live the life that I've created for myself. And that's what comes out today when asked about telling you who I am and why I'm here. We've known each other a little bit. We've got very similar circles and we've been around the island together, but we've not had a lot of time to go deep. But from afar, I've always really admired and respected you and appreciated you and your energy and who you are and the way you show up in the world. And I've also seen your podcasts being launched, and I was really happy when you got in contact to say let's have a chat. So
yay, thank you. And likewise, it's such an honor to have you here and see you from afar. And although I don't know you deeply, I know the work that you're doing, and it's very powerful work, and I thank you for that. And the women, we have such power and we're ready to reclaim it, right? So if we could get into that, maybe to begin with, what is the Jade Temple? What does the Jade Temple offer? And what does that look like physically here in Koh Phangan? And then extending it further in this more global community that you've created.
So, yeah, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. If I could wrap it up into one sentence, it's connecting women to their power. It's and doing that together in sisterhood, because that's actually when women are in their greatest power. Women are not solo, we're not in our fullest, most expressed form when we're off in silos. It's actually when we come together that we are in our greatest power. I think all humans actually, but particularly women. So yeah, I would say that's the essence. And the way that we connect women to their power is through their bodies, through their relationship to their bodies, through their relationship to sexuality. And also, just being able to land in this female body and listen to her and to honor her and to accept her wherever she is at, whether that be from a physical perspective, an emotional perspective, just being with our emotions and how we're feeling from day to day, and not shaming our anger or shaming our grief or shaming our frustrations, but embracing all of the parts of ourselves and being able to tune in and listen to that and honor that and try and maybe live a little bit more authentically from that place, so that we're honoring ourselves and living from our truth rather than bypassing and what's the word, ignoring our needs and actually just overriding our system to please others, but actually coming back to living from a more authentic place. And from there, that's when our power is really activated.
Sounds magical. Music to my ears. And I'm so fortunate to have been part of the Jade Temple for a number of years now, and I see the power both experientially myself and through the community of sisterhood that we've developed. And I will say that Koh Phangan, it's accessible here. Something that I do want to bring up is it's quite radical for the vast majority of the world and what women are exposed to here today. In full support of everything that you're mentioning, I'm curious, how do we create a bridge for people that perhaps aren't quite ready, or they're hearing about some of these terms, for example, embodiment? What is embodiment, and how do we create a bridge for people to even consider going in that direction, given the status of the world with sexual shame and hiding ourselves as women and a long-standing history of disempowerment?
Yeah. And I think that there's in some ways it's radical, and in other ways, once you experience it, you're it's really not radical at all. It's very simple, and it's actually just a remembering. It's not we're adding on these new modern layers with these big concepts of these revolutionary things that are from modern science. Yes, we have some modern science in the world of somatics and understanding trauma, but actually what we're going back to is a remembering of the wisdom of our bodies that has been there from the beginning of time, that actually got taken away from us from disconnection and disempowerment. So in a lot of ways, I'd say it's not radical.
It's our birthright. Our birthright.
It's a birthright. It's a washing away the mud just to come back to our organic
Absolutely.
Essence.
And given the status of society, I think that's kind of where I'm coming from. On Channel 2024, just what's going on in the world, there is a sense of radicalness in that regard, but I completely agree with you that it is going back to what we already know, the depths of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think in terms of making it more accessible, perhaps the way that we're starting to think about it, even recently in the last few weeks, is really separating some of the work around sexuality with the stuff around embodiment and nervous system, and just feeling safe and listening to the wisdom of our bodies. So maybe for some women, starting to dive into our sexuality is a little bit further down the line. It is something that is actually, I would say, more radical and is more perhaps a slightly later stage in the process of coming back to ourselves. But if we start at the very beginning, it's actually about creating safety in our bodies. It's about feeling safe from the inside, having tools to be able to regulate our nervous systems, tools to be able to drop into our bodies. And when I say that, I mean instead of listening to the constant chatter that's going on in our mind, we bring our mind awareness down into the constant chatter that's happening in our bodies that we're ignoring. All of these signals and sensations and wisdom that our body, our animal body, is literally communicating to us all day, every day, this intelligence way beyond our mind that we're ignoring. So I would say, like, first stage is actually just learning to drop in and be able to listen to that. And to be able to hear that, we need to feel safe. We need to feel safe to be in these bodies. We need to feel safe to feel. We need to feel safe to feel our emotions, which we've been taught to be afraid of. We've been taught that we should always be aiming to feel happy and joyful and blissful, and that sadness and fear and anger are bad. And when we can start to embrace all of those emotions, which exist in us through sensation, when we can become comfortable and okay with feeling those sensations, then we're just creating a deeper sense of safety and a deeper sense of being able to hear and listen, even then the more subtle wisdom that's being communicated to us all the time from these bodies.
And there's the bridge, right? There's the intro. There's the kind of segue into this work.
Yeah.
And so I'm coming to you, I'm new to this entirely, I am lacking safety and perhaps have a chattery mind with thoughts and sensations in my body. Where do we begin?
So first and foremost, it's coming, and I mean, whether that be in the physical space or what we're going to be offering online, and I'm coming more to the Jade Temple specifically, and I can give some separate tools for just, using them at home in your own space. But one of the things about coming and doing this in community is that we're actually also we're co-regulating, and we're actually feeling each other's nervous systems. And when we are creating a space and a sisterhood that is already feeling very safe, and maybe it's not even on a conscious level, it's something that's happening on a nervous system level. Like, so many women come in, I do a weekly class, and I'm just thinking, even 2 days ago, a woman just saying to me, as soon as I've arrived here, I can't stop crying. She says, I don't know what's going on, but I'm so emotional. And I'm like, it's because you feel safe and your emotion, it's a safety. That's a safety to feel just from walking into the space. There's something that happens in the nervous system when we're sitting in circle, and there's a really conscious intention of creating a space where we are free and safe to be ourselves, and we don't need to be pretending to be anything else but what we are, and bringing our full selves to the space. So that's when we're kind of setting an environment. But I guess the other thing, we in our embodiment classes and in everything that we do use 5 key tools which help us come into the body, into the present moment. And they are our awareness. So firstly, just bringing our awareness to our body, and actually maybe that's focusing and connecting momentarily or for a long period of time on our breasts, or on even our belly and our womb, just checking in, or scanning the body, using our awareness just to scan the body and see what's happening in that moment through our body. We then also use the tool of breath, sound, movement, and self-touch. So those are the 5 kind of key tools that we use, and I would offer for women to start to just use and be aware of in their day-to-day. Breath is, in most practices, anything is key, that we as human beings, one of the greatest tools that we've developed to stop feeling is to not breathe. So we breathe very, very shallow, and we basically cut off breath, and by cutting off our breath, we cut off our ability to feel sensation and to feel feelings, which we're so scared of. So the number one would be breath. Deep breaths, and allowing the body to expand and soften, and just using breath as a tool to start to feel more. I could keep going, but I feel like
it's a beautiful start. It's a beautiful intro, and I agree with you. It's such a protective factor that this shallow breathing, we become in survival mode, and we detach from feeling, from the world, you know, those around us, the environment, the planet, etc. And so returning safety sounds very important, as you mentioned. And I think it's a nice bridge to get there, you know, and wow. I remember the first time that I came to the Jade Temple, actually. I wasn't sure. I knew that I was called to go there. I was a bit nervous, and two of my friends that I came with actually opted to leave. So that made me a bit more nervous. And that's what I mean by this radical, right? Like it's a paradox. It's radical, it's not radical. Like it's so our birthright and it's so there, but it's also terrifying. And a lot of people don't know how to approach this. And it's a bit fearful to reclaim the right to be in our body and experience pleasure. Tamara, whoa, you know, it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, I'd love to know, what were you afraid of, like going into the Jade Temple? What was the fear? What were you afraid?
I think, just to be honest, hearing, you know, self-touch, for example, in community with other women. And, you know, there's just, not that these are valid stories in any way, but there was talk, right? And that's why two of these friends had left, who later came back and were obsessed with the Jade Temple. May I just mention, right? If you come with an open mind and really see what's being offered, rather than being entrenched by these stories, instilled with fear, and dissociating from it, right? But yeah, I think the stories, the unknown, the kind of taking a stance that I'm worthy enough to be with myself for 45 minutes or an hour uninterrupted. I remember my first time just using these practices that you guys offered, the 5 practices that you just mentioned, and truly crying, like just bawling. Quite a release, right? Wow, a sense of worthiness that I can devote time and energy to my body, my feminine parts, my breath in stillness, alongside the energy of all the women that I was surrounded by, and being guided so magnificently by Hilary Kimball, who is the OG founder of the Jade Temple. Thank you, Hilary.
OG queen.
Ooh, major shout out. Infinitely grateful for everything that you do. Yes. You will be on Soul Play.
Love you.
Yeah, so I think that kind of sums up my fears, which were completely eradicated as those tears kept coming. And then there was a sense of, I just need to keep coming back here. And there was a lot of ups and downs like that, a lot of emotions being released, a lot of meeting myself in ways that I really didn't know, to be honest, were possible. And that's another big reason why I'm bringing you on, is because I feel like these practices, so simple, are also so foreign, you know, for many women.
I just want to also like come back a little bit to this self-touch in a circle, because I know that is like a big fear that people have, or women have, coming into the space. And I guess I would say like a couple of things. Like, one is like self-touch and pleasure does not need to be sexual. And we have a real habit in our society to equate pleasure to sex. And because we shame sex, and we've been programmed that sex is somehow dirty and shameful, then somehow pleasure is also dirty and shameful. And I just want to like really bring it back to like self-touch, in the way that we're teaching it is purely about presence with your own body and bringing some pleasure, non-sexual, non-goal oriented pleasure to our body, which is so deeply healing. It's so deeply healing for our nervous systems. And we are living in a touch deprived society where touch is so lacking. And actually the nourishment that we can receive from our own touch is immense, really powerful, and really healing. And you know, I'm for people who are like listening and not seeing the video, like I'm just touching my arms right now and just like really bringing in some like soft, gentle touch, and I feel my whole nervous system just like settling. Even just a simple self hug, something that we like really offer a lot in tools for nervous system regulation. And one of the things that we do in our feminine embodiment class, which is like our weekly kind of core class that we offer at the Jade Temple, is breast massage. And even that, which it's like touching a part of our body that, again, there's a lot of shame and a lot of judgment and a lot of different things that are wrapped up in our breasts. But I have women at the end of these class, their first class ever, and they say to me, if you told me an hour ago that I would be massaging my breasts in a circle of other women, I would have laughed in your face. But it just, as I sat there, and because we always offer for women, you do you, and if that means that you have your top on and you're just energetically connecting to your breasts and your hands go nowhere near them, we celebrate you. We celebrate your no as much as we celebrate your yes. And they say, I was just going to sit and energetically connect, and I had no intention at all to go anywhere near my breasts in a circle of other women. Of course not. And then they were like, but it was just so natural. I just looked around the circle and it was so natural. And I just found myself taking my top off and being with my breasts. And it was so intimate and personal and natural and organic, and there was nothing embarrassing about it at all. And so, I just wanted to share that. It's such a common comment that I get. If you told me that I was gonna do this, I would have laughed at you. And now I'm like, woohoo,
liberated, and finally feeling sensation and present with my body for the first time.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. I think it's so valuable, because I'm the biggest advocate for this. But that was a fear once upon a time, which thankfully dissolved rather quick in that community. It was instant. Again, with the tears, it's a sense of coming back to self, coming back to home, coming back to that collective of empowered sisterhood. And by allowing the fear to control us, right? So maybe not going or being afraid, this kind of, that also then continues a story, but the story of disempowerment rather than reclaiming our power, right? So thank you so much for clarifying. Important.
I think for me, touch is one of my, it's my, in the love languages, if anyone knows love languages, it's my number one. I'm always touching myself. Such a nourishing tool for me.
Great. A deep sense of community and exploration and safety. What brings women to the Jade Temple? Is it curiosity? Is it exploration? Is it a bit of everything?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's usually like, oh, my friends brought me. I had so many women that are like, my friend brought me here. I heard about, actually, word of mouth is a huge thing on this island as well, right? Women, and every week, so we have capacity of 26 in my classes on a Tuesday, and most weeks it's full in high season particularly. And I would say half of each class is women who are there for the first time, generally. And it is I think there's this. I think there is a movement towards women reclaiming their power, that women are really on this deep path of, I think, self-exploration, self-development, self-curiosity, and wanting to know who they are and exploring this deeper and deeper. And we live in, particularly on this island, there's a big community of already wellness and development and spirituality. And I would say yoga is a huge path for many people that end up coming into the Jade Temple or doing this type of work. But when women come in and I'm it's their first time and I'm asking them, what's brought you in here today, which I do ask most weeks, it's I want to get to know myself better. I want to learn how to love myself. I think there's a big part of what we do is this very actually quick access to a sense of loving ourselves, which, actually again on Tuesday, a woman came up to me after the class and she was crying. She just said, thank you. I've been trying to work on self-love for years. Affirmations, looking in the mirror, but I've never felt it until today. I've never felt it until I was present with my body and actually just pouring in some love to myself in this way with my presence and my touch. And that is it's a very, for me, I think it's one of the big missing keys in the self-love movement is coming back home to our bodies in this way. It's an instantaneous feeling. Maybe not instant. I'm deep in self-love is a practice for life. I'm still deep in that practice every single day.
We all are, sure.
It's an instant taste
a
of
fast
what it
track
can feel.
Of experiential learning. This is what they're talking about.
Exactly.
A taste, an introduction, and then also an introduction with, ooh, that felt really good. We should maybe explore this further.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So I want to know myself better. I want to love myself, I think there is already an awareness of many women that are wanting to come into contact with emotion, with feelings. You know, there is this saying that's like feeling is healing, and you know, once we're in this kind of wanting to heal and to grow and to evolve, and knowing that part of that is to feel the things that we've been perhaps pushing away for often decades or our whole life. So women come in, they're called in because they want to feel. They're like actually ready to kind of go in and feel some things. There is, I think, again, like a movement towards knowing that our body is wise, that there's wisdom here, that there's like, for centuries probably, we've been shutting off from our true needs and desires and our yes and our no. And, you know, how many of us have like ignored our screaming no in our body and pushed through and done something that we didn't want to do, whether that be sexually or not. Like, there's so many women that are like, I want to learn what are my boundaries. I want to come and be able to hear my body, to know my yes and to know my no. I think there's some of the kind of key reasons women come in.
Absolutely.
that they share with us when they come.
Thank you for sharing. And I resonate with many or all of those, right? When I was new to this work, and these muddy waters of yes and no and boundaries, so valuable in life in general. But I think the more we kind of push down the no's and silence them, they're so deep that they're almost inaccessible later, right? So learning to listen to what once was a screaming no, perhaps it's more of a whisper. So you need to create more stillness and quiet to really get there to listen to it. And I feel like these spaces really provide that. Tamara, thank you for everything that you're offering. I can hear your passion and drive from here. I'm really curious, like, how did this ignite for you? You've devoted your life work to feminine embodiment, reclaiming our power.
It's actually, it's interesting. There's almost like a few different threads that sort of come into play. And I actually think my activist for women and them like actually loving and accepting their bodies started when I was still working in advertising in the corporate world, which is like, it's bonkers when I see the way that the universe has like kind of guided me here. It's hilarious. I think she's a genius.
That universe, brilliant being.
I always like look up and I'm like, genius, creative genius. So I worked in advertising, and you know, back then I was like, we would work on different accounts. I've worked on anything from like McDonald's to Heineken to like, you know, big brands, all different categories, Subaru cars, like anything, chocolate, Mars brands, like big brands all around the world. And then I was asked to lead and run an account in London, which was called Libresse, Bodyform. It's got different names around the world. It was a global account, but it was for pads, menstrual products, pads and tampons. And I didn't want to do it. I was like, I don't want to really sit around in meetings all day talking about menstruation or periods. Like, I really, doesn't sound like something. I was at the time working on chocolate, and that was like fun. We'd sit around and talk about Mars bars, like Maltesers or whatever.
Different world.
Maltesers, yeah. And I'm going to sit in meetings and talk about like period blood, like, my God. Anyway, most of the people that work in advertising have got like big visions and want to do good in the world, and want to have like that, you know, we love working on like charities, for example, and non-profits, because you finally can like channel this creativity and intelligence into something doing good in the world instead of just like selling chocolate bars.
Love it.
So, you know, my boss at the time was like, you know, they want to move the account from like doing stuff that's a little bit more like problems, like, I don't know, women in white leotards doing, you know, acrobats and stuff. And they want to move towards doing something that's a little bit more empowering. And so I was leading this account at a time that we transitioned from that type of advertising to doing stuff that was like really, really, really groundbreaking, category changing regulations in different countries, and like doing really beautiful stuff around menstruation. And then also the last thing that I created, I was leading before I left, was an ad called Viva la Vulva.
Ooh. Woo, I love it.
Yeah, and it was all about vulva diversity and embracing your vulva exactly as she is, and celebrating and caring for her. And so I spent I don't know how many years I was running that account, 3 or 4 years, but it was like revolutionary. It changed a lot of like the advertising all around the world. It changed, like I said, regulations, because they would even have regulations on like when you could show menstrual ads on TV and not, based on age, because like it goes so deep. And like we were fighting Facebook and Google and all these big places that wouldn't let us show menstrual blood when they would show
it's a crime. Women don't bleed.
Yeah,
keep that on the...
If it's blue, it's okay. The blue liquid, we changed. We used red liquid for the first time, you know, and as we changed it to red liquid, and it was like, no, you can't show that on Google ads or Facebook. And we were like, it doesn't even make sense that blue liquid is okay and red liquid is not. Like, what are you talking about?
And so this company that you worked for and with, they were behind going to the red liquid. So is it them, like you guys as a collective, that really did the fight? It sounds like it wasn't overnight. It was a process, right?
So, huge fight, huge
Wow.
team, lots and lots of people were involved, and like, yeah, I would say I was at the forefront, like with the sword, like, come on, and the shield, like, yalla, let's go, people. You know,
persisting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I threw my like life into that. I was already a workaholic, and then to have something that also had a mission behind it and was making a difference on the planet, like I just, that was my thing. So that was where my like activist was like really born for this work. And then I left that whole industry. I had a major burnout. I left advertising. I realized I was deeply unhappy. I walked away from that entire life, did the cliche, bought a one-way ticket to India, did my yoga teacher trainings, blah, 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 all the rest of it. And there's a reason why people go and do that. It's amazing. If you're questioning your life, go to India. But then the second, I guess, moment that really catapulted me into this work was I was on this island doing a retreat where we were asked to write a list of all of the people that we'd had sex with in our lives, and if we couldn't remember their names, we could just write a country or a defining feature or something. And I like had this like huge epiphany of, like, I'd been single most of my adult life. I hadn't had a partner since I was in my early 20s. At this stage I was in my mid 30s. I'd been like working my ass off in London. I was, using dating apps or going out and getting drunk in bars and having like pretty horrible, disconnected, unloving sex. And I had like, when I was like asked to write this down in black and white, and I can feel my emotions arising as I'm talking about it, I was just like in shock seeing this, like, wow, like so much of the sex that I've had in my life, was unloving, disconnected. Like most of these guys, I wouldn't remember their names, they wouldn't remember my name. Like it made me feel so empty. And I realized, I'd been using alcohol to even feel confident enough to be naked. I was so deeply insecure in my body. I had so much body shame from a very young age. And I realized that, I was like basically getting blackout drunk to have sex with these guys that would then leave me feeling empty and used, basically. And I was seeing this, in black and white on this piece of paper, and it was almost like an instantaneous moment where I was like, this is where I'm going to find my power. Like, this is what I want to work on. This is where I want to find my power, and this is what I want to help other women with. Like, it was just this like deep, instant knowing in that moment. And it just like catapulted me into this path of exploring sexuality in a very deep way, and understanding also like this, I made a promise to myself in that moment that I would never have sex with anyone again that wasn't like a soul-to-soul connection, or a seeing me as the human that I am, the woman that I am, that I was the one they were like making love with, not just a body, not just any body. And it didn't need to be a relationship, but it needed to be true. And really it changed a lot. I mean, everything about my life. I would say they're the kind of two things that really directed me to this. And that's why it's like, it really has changed my life in every way, in how I feel about myself and how I feel about my body and how I show up on the planet, how I honor myself. And when I talk about sexuality, I haven't had sex with anyone else for like a year, like a long time. It doesn't, like, reclaiming your sexuality doesn't necessarily, it can do, and it's beautiful if it does, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're having more sex and more liberated sex and more freedom in who you're having sex with often when women do this work, myself included, it actually made me more choosy and more picky and more honoring of myself and my body and my sexuality. Just freedom from shame rather than freedom from it means I want to go and have lots and lots of sex with lots of different people. So yeah, it's impacted all of my life, every area of my life, and I feel so deeply honored and privileged to do this work every single day. Like it's such a gift to be able to see the instant transformations or the instant gifts that are received from women to just even drop home into their bodies for an hour in one class. And again, it doesn't need to be about sexuality, but just coming home to this temple, you know.
Thank you for your vulnerable share. Yeah, you've had some powerful experiences that have really solidified your direction in life, you know, and I feel that when I'm around you, when I'm with you at the Jade Temple especially. And yeah, coming back to our sacred nature and what is connection. I think before we can find connection with another, it really is returning to self and learning, our yes and no's within our own body, right? Our own existence, sitting in that stillness, creating space and learning, exploring, developing this relationship, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
It all, I think, like for me, I'm just like everything comes back to our relationship with self. And when we're in harmony with ourselves, we can be in harmony with someone else. Like it's just where everything starts, and everything is impacted by it. Even the relationship we have with nature and the land, when we're in harmony with ourselves, we want to take care of nature more. You know, I really feel like if every human came back to their body in this way, we would be like caring for and taking care of Mama Nature, you know, in such a different way, and of each other, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. And talking about it, exploring, you know, really putting it out there of like what is available. Again, this is quite a foreign concept for people. Deep down, sure, it's innate. We know, right? But there's a lot of layers covering that knowing. So unraveling it is quite a beautiful exploration. Beautiful, challenging the full spectrum, right?
Totally.
And so, yeah, you're a one-on-one coach in this realm also. What does that look like for you?
My one-on-one work really is very different depending on the woman and what it is that she, really wants to work on. Yeah, I would say that for me, I like to go on journeys with women. It's not like come in for one session and have a quick fix. It's like, okay, let's go on a journey together, and like I am in your corner. I offer sessions, and I also offer support in between sessions, like WhatsApp voice notes and messages, and it's like I'm with you, like walking this path with you. And it really depends what it is that each woman wants to work on or to connect to or to shift. But generally, as a basis, it's this like creating a sense of safety in the body. That's like the basis of everything. Having tools for being able to hear what's going on inside the body, feeling safe and hearing the messages of the body to get clarity on what she wants in her life. I talk about 3 sort of different, I would say, tracks of where I support women. One is specifically going into this like sexual healing and awakening journey, if someone's ready for that, to go deeper into learning about her female body, learning about her pleasure anatomy. Women come to me sometimes when they have troubles having orgasms, and they want to learn about their body and how she works. And I really have a very passionate belief in the power of self-pleasure and how much we can awaken in our own bodies and love ourselves through self-pleasure. The second one is around transitions, life transitions. So women often come to me when they're like, know they want to make a big change in life, but they're afraid, and maybe they're also a little bit confused. So really guiding them back into their own body for clarity, first and foremost, and then also to build safety in their nervous system so that they can take courageous steps and stay in capacity. So feel the fear and do it anyway, and still hold themselves through that. So they're building the nervous system capacity to make some big changes or take those steps that may be scary. And then the third one is in like leadership and business. And, you know, I've got many years in this like business world. So yeah, helping women come to use their body as a tool for business and leadership, to really tap into, make decisions from their body, and to feel empowered and safe, and yeah, also courageous, I would say, in transitioning the world of business and leadership.
Powerful work. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of waves of change for people, it sounds like.
Yeah. But it's really dependent. Like every journey is unique, and it's always just coming back. I say I've just got tools and questions to guide you back to you. You have the power, you have the answers, you have the wisdom, you have everything inside of you. I'm just holding you there to like take you back into yourself, back into your power, reflect your greatness, reflect how brilliant you are, and just be an extra sounding board as you're kind of journeying in life. Yeah.
It's all what we need.
Yay.
Meet people where they're at. Let them see. Them see. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so what I'm hearing too is a lot of like returning to safety, returning to nervous system regulation, a lot of energy put in this direction. I'm curious for younger women, even girls, right? Like rather than unlearning in our current generation, what would be some recommendations, would you say, for adolescents, for women kind of introducing these concepts in a healthy way?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm very passionate, and my next chapter at some point is going to be about developing some stuff specifically for young girls that are kind of before they hit puberty. And again, I would say, like, it's the same tools of listening to the body. So anything that can come bring these young girls into listening to their body, to be able to hear their signals, to teach them that their feelings and emotions are valid, that they, their emotions are information. It's not something to ignore or to be ashamed of. It's something that's telling you if you're angry, it's because a boundary is probably being crossed. If you're frustrated, it's probably because something isn't in alignment, something doesn't feel good for you right now, or maybe you're overwhelmed. If you're grieving, it's like, yes, something is like, it's sadness, and that's welcome, and it's okay to feel sad. Like, sadness is beautiful. It means it's actually an expression of love. Sadness is usually just like teaching these girls how to be with emotion and to embrace emotion and to see it as wisdom, and to see where does that wisdom guide them. And also, like I said, just like listening to the body's signals of the yes and the no. I would say this is one of the most critical things that we can teach young girls. And also the communication skills to be able to express the yes and the no. It's one thing to identify it, and it's the next thing is to also to be able to express it. And then, like we talked about, just like teaching girls the sacredness of their body, and that they do have the power to say no, and that their pleasure is important, that their body is not there just for the pleasure of someone else. And that also, that their pleasure is sacred, that it's not shameful, and that there's nothing to feel shame about, but that once they feel the sacredness of their body, they can enter into sexuality or to these experiences with others from a place of honor and respecting themselves, rather than overriding and seeking validation from others.
Right. Wow. I agree. Beginning with non-judgmental listening, really landing in your body, learning those yes and no's. And thank you for highlighting then the importance to then have the courage to speak those yes and no's, right? Yeah, very, very empowering stuff. And I look forward to what's to come from you and what you'll be offering in that realm too. We are coming to a close.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't discussed here today that you feel called to share?
I think I just want to sort of, finish with sharing that, this can feel big or scary or overwhelming, but this work is not for only some women, or there is power in it for every single one of us, and there are ways to access this work which are much, much simpler and more accessible, and really just coming back into contact and safety before needing to go into some big deep sexual exploration, or it's not about getting to some place of being a sex goddess and needing to like parade our bodies in a certain way or express in any different way. But it's this deep intimacy with self, like just coming back home and knowing that there are baby steps, and if you can do it in sisterhood, in a place where you feel accepted and loved and reflected, your beauty is reflected and your power is reflected back to you, it will just make the journey so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, what a journey indeed. And I encourage, like, there's a bridge. Thank you for offering the bridge. I think it's really valuable in times like this, because if it is too scary, it could be a hard no. But if there is a bit of, a way there that is reasonably accessible, I think it's available to people. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for all the work that you do. So empowering. Where can people find you, Tamara?
They can find me in a few different places. So my personal Instagram is Tamara.Klemich, Klemich. I'm sure it will be in the show notes.
You got it, yeah. As a fellow podcast host.
Yes.
Yeah, we haven't really spoke to that. If we could put a plug really fully.
Sure,
yeah.
Thank
no
you.
rush. Happy to chat about this.
Cool. Yeah, our Jade Temple podcast is launched also couple of months ago, and as she's birthed into the world, and super exciting. So that podcast is Feminine Thriving, and you can find that on all of the podcasting or on Spotify, on Apple, and also on our website. And this podcast is, the premise that we're talking about is how to move from surviving to thriving in a female body. So for anyone who feels like they're in survival mode and really, starting their journey, that there should be a lot of resource in there, free resource to just listen and absorb. And maybe that's the first bridge into hearing about what we do more deeply. We also, I want to share that we have a free 10-day mini course that's available on our website right now. And this is the bridge, as in this is like about 10 minutes a day that gets delivered to your inbox. We share about the 5 different tools of feminine embodiment with a short 5-minute practice. And it's really, really bite-sized, accessible baby steps into this work from the privacy of your own home, delivered into your inbox. So if this conversation has sparked your curiosity, I really would really recommend you sign up there. It's free. It's a beautiful journey that culminates in like a 25 or 20 minute feminine embodiment practice led by the Queen, Hillary. OG Queen. So highly recommend joining that, which I think is thejadetemple.com/mini course. Again, we'll put the link in the show notes. And you can follow us at the Jade Temple, the.jade.temple on Instagram.
And everything will absolutely be in the show notes. Yes, I also recommend, thank you for taking the time to make the bridges, right? Because a lot of this work, there's so much energy and commitment to the far end of it, but then it removes access. These bridges really create that access. And thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Hillary. I remember having conversations with Hillary years ago at the Jade Temple. I'm like, this needs to be like, how do I show my friends, right? Because I talk about it, and then it was kind of like challenging to translate it into something. So it's really beautiful to see all of this stuff coming into fruition. It's available to all of you. Please explore. Yeah, thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that you're doing. You're amazing.
Thank you, love. Thank you. Super beautiful to chat with you.
That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I truly hope that today's conversation was valuable to you. To learn more about today's guests, including links and resources related to everything discussed today, visit the episode page at soulplaycollective.com. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. So don't be shy. Send in your comments and let us know how each episode is resonating with you. If you'd like to support the podcast, the easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, and leave a review and/or comment. Sharing the show or your favorite episodes with friends or on social media is fantastic and super appreciated. And finally, for podcast updates, please follow us on Instagram at soulplay.collective and at Soulplay Collective on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate the love and support. See you back here soon.